Alright, BobalosRex here, and it's time for the video I've been asked about and talking about in stream and talked about yesterday. It's time. I got a support spec idea for every class, and it's wild. Some of them are wild, let me tell you. But let me break down what a support is, talk about the comments from yesterday that I said I would, and let's talk support as a role, and then every class as a support spec. Let's get into it. So what is a support? How do I see a support in WoW? Well, one, it has to be able to do damage. So it has to have some abilities like all classes that do damage. Healers can do damage, tanks can do damage, everybody can do damage, so they gotta be able to do some damage. They're gonna use some magic or something to do damage. Alright. Which means they're gonna have a class tree. Okay. They're gonna have the class tree as well, so they gotta kind of work with that. They're gonna have some kind of buff, and then I put /debuff system, and it's either gonna work mostly group ride or maybe like a single one, so you pick a damage and you funnel them, or you something like that. But they'll probably have a little bit of both. And then the other thing I see support as the utility role. One, they'll all be able to CC. Hopefully in multiple ways. Probably in multiple ways, if you need. They'll be able to interrupt. All of them will be able to interrupt. Interrupts are key. Some of them should be... I think they should be able to dispel. Some of them should be able to dispel. Maybe all of them. In a way. And I see this as a role that would do the extra jobs. Bombs in the last boss in the Mega Dungeon. Evoker, or Ogvoker handles it. Support handles it. Sarkareth bombs. You'd want your support roles to handle those. Not your normal DPS, but your support roles. You know, stuff like that. Doing soaks. Have your support do it. Healers gotta heal. Tanks gotta tank. Have your support do some of the side rolls. So DPS can just roll face. You know, that's what I see a support role in WoW doing. And I think it'd be really cool. Now, as far as balance, it's always going to be on Blizzard to figure out a balance, okay? I'm just trying to think of a world where we do have some good balance. Maybe some support specs work really well in a comp, and maybe there's a world where there's not just one OP comp, but there's like 3 or 4. I mean, probably just 2, but maybe there's like a couple comps competing for each other. Maybe this comp is really good in this dungeon. Maybe that comp's really good in that dungeon. Maybe it changes throughout the season. Maybe early on, pre-gear, one comp is good, and then after people have geared up, another comp becomes good. And then there's like a little mix-up. And then maybe there's some changes, and then another comp becomes better. You know? Hopefully that's how it would work. Again, I don't know how support rolls in PvP. So, let me go over the comments I got. I've had multiple people say that they like the support idea. One person was like, therapist spec for all the QQers. I thought that was funny. And then someone said the idea for support specs is neat, pretty cool. A lot of people liked it. Some people are acknowledging that there may be problems with that adding the support. Someone said they really like the idea of 1112 for M+, but the DPS market is saturated. Yeah, there are problems, and I feel like some of those are for Blizzard to solve. I can't solve everything. I would need more opinions. You know, maybe us as a community can fix some of the problems. And then some people are saying they hate the hate that augmentation is getting. Clearly the sentiment from at least my community, maybe a more casual community, I don't know how much they do. I know I can speak from my experience. You know, I'm a heroic raider. I get Keystone Master. I'm not a Keystone Hero. I like the support role. I haven't had any issues in my guild getting groups. They have a good time with me buffing them. You know, it's more casual, I guess, and friendly, so it's not that bad. Maybe if the community tried to essentially make it a little bit more welcoming, maybe we could have more groups that are being friendly about it versus groups that are... Because I got my first mega dungeon. You can watch that stream. I get in a group and we were all chill. So maybe just there's a toxic side of the pugging community. Maybe that isn't even the majority. I don't know. But that's something to think about. But again, I told you what I thought a support role would be at the beginning of the video. I think that could be cool in WoW. How it fits in PvP, I don't know, man. That's for them to decide. Maybe remove the role from PvP. I don't know. Maybe it could be balanced in PvP so it's not the protection paladin issue that happens. I don't know. But now let's get into the brunt of the video. Maybe why you're all here. The lore rant. A support spec for every class. Now, I did something special for this video, okay? Alright. I got all my characters in transmog. They're all in transmog, pretending as best they can to be the new spec, okay? Some of them are bad, but I did my best. So, you may see what my rogue's dressed up as. He can't carry an instrument, but I think rogue support spec should be a bard. Let's get into it. So bard rogue. Okay. We need to look at the class talent tree, because remember, technically these specs would fall into there. So I imagined a way. You can think of a way to turn combo points into musical notes. Alright? You build up your musical notes, you play the song, you buff your party. Alright? Think about it, okay? It's weird, but I like it, okay? So imagine a fourth little rung here with like, maybe that's where the rogue, there's like a couple of rogue buffs. Maybe that's where you put your speed and your cheat death, you know? That would also be... Now, maybe... Where is Cloak of Shadows, dude? Did we just learn Cloak of Shadows? Yeah, probably. But you know what? And a bard would know how to kick someone. Bard would have that interrupt, you know, and you'd have blind, you know. And I imagine it, you essentially use musical notes, play your song. Hell, it could be like Hunting Horn and Monster Hunter, you know. A bard can be sneaky, a bard can stealth, you know. Maybe a bard puts a little poison on the back end of their instrument, you know. Or they have the instrument in one hand, a mace, and they got a little, hey, don't fuck with me. I may be singing a song, but I ain't fucking around. Oh, man. You know, I think it could work. I think Bard for Rogue fits a lot better than Hunter. Bard for Rogue works perfectly. You know, a Bard's in it to get some money. Rogue's in it to get some money. A Bard can be sneaky. A Bard can smooth talk. You know, like I said, you have your instrument in one hand. You have your protection in the other. I think it works really good for Rogue. You take a little twist to combo points. You know, a bard can have a little poison. You know, and as far as utility, rogues have some utility. Let's give bard more. Okay. You know, maybe they have essentially like a sonic bomb. They play one note. Oh no, not the brown note. We're not having the brown note. All right, we're not making the enemies. Oh my god, why did I think that? I'm kind of freestyling on this. I have some stuff written down, but yeah, maybe a AoE stun. You know, they play a note. They play just a really loud noise. Boom. Give them a big AoE stun. You know, they would still have... Maybe give them smoke. Maybe bring back smoke bomb. Why don't we have smoke bomb anymore? Or maybe we do. You know? And then if we bring back, like, more... So, monks have Mystic Touch. Bring back Expose Armor for Rogue. Maybe put it in Bard and make it a plus the physical damage a Bard brings, you know? Maybe if you don't give all rogues that, maybe give Bard, you know? I think each support spec should bring one of the buffs. Ogvoker brings the Evoker one. You know, I think all of them should bring one if their class already doesn't have one. So, I think that could work. Bard Rogue. You know, you gotta give them a little extra utility. And I think it could be really cool. You know? Alright, let's switch out of Bard for a minute. Alright? Look at him. Little Bard. Now, I mentioned yesterday, I don't actually think every class should get a support spec. But for this video, I did it. Okay? Demon Hunter isn't one I'd necessarily think as a support spec, but you know what? I thought of something. Now, you may be looking at him like, what in the world is this? Now, I had a previous idea of maybe them using soul magic to buff, but I'm like, hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Demon Hunters use sigils. Maybe we pull sigils off of Vengeance. Okay? Alright? Because I'm going to be real. As a Vengeance Demon Hunter, I don't really... Like, the sigil gameplay is cool and all. Maybe you give... Maybe put the sigils on the class tree and then make a whole spec that is frickin' sigil base. And you have offensive sigils, defensive sigils. Demon Hunters already bring Chaos Brand, so they are bringing a party buff. And you have an entire spec built around doing damage with sigils. Like maybe you have a sigil rotation, and this could be mid-range, right? You don't even necessarily have to be in melee all the time. So it could even do odd jobs. You know, it could be classified as a melee, but be a melee, they can go do some of the melee mechanics that have you run out real quick and easy. You know, you gotta soak that bomb. Oh, this melee can run out because we're dropping sigils. You know? But yeah, see, look, this is the current meta Vengeance build. Where are the sigils? There's no sigil gameplay. I'm not even running sigils. And sigils are in the class tree already. Or am I Havoc? I'm Havoc. But yeah, dude, here. Let's see. But yeah, I can imagine what I call a sigilist Demon Hunter. And it be... Okay, so we got... So Sigil of Chains is the only Vengeance specific sigil. And then you have this stuff. And again, it's not really being run, I don't think, currently. I haven't caught up with Vengeance. But see, a lot of this is in the class tree. So here you go. Havoc. Vengeance. Or like, ship that over. Do Vengeance. And then Sigils. Sigillus. You know, and in the class tree, they would have a metamorphosis form. Maybe it's a more caster-based one. Have y'all seen Neo? You have the agility-based yokai form. You have the brute yokai form. And then you have that caster yokai form. So maybe like a caster demon. You know? And you're dropping sigils in your metamorphosis. Um, Vengeance Demon Hunters have a breath. Havoc Demon Hunters have the Eye Beam. What would Sigillus Demon Hunters have? Maybe they just summon both for them? Oh, okay, so this turns into all three, and it's a Demon Hunter shooting a laser. Okay, so you have the Eye Beam, you have the Breath, and then you have... yeah, just a laser. Just a full Kamehameha laser from the demon form of the caster demon. Alright? So it's laser, breath. And then Collective Anguish would do all three. And that would look really cool. I think that would be really cool. And then again, we'd give it buffs. What kind of buffs? So you'd have offensive sigils. Maybe sigils that weaken. Pull a little bit of Warlock magic in there. Maybe not too much. Maybe dot sigils that increase their damage taken. You know, one, it would apply Chaos Brand, and then two, it could apply other debuffs. And then you'd have buff sigils you place on your melee, well, on your group members, and then those would go off, and then maybe give shields, soul shields, or something like that. And then you'd have all the utility, misery, give them chains, maybe... Yeah, I talked about like a shielding sigil. You know, they would have darkness, which is a good utility. They'd have interrupts, of course. So I think it could be good. Maybe give them a full... So we already got Imprison. So they already got a good hard CC. You got Chaos Nova, you got a good stun. They'd already be decked out. And then just give them some like cool set of buffs and debuffs sigils, you know, and then they would be the one running Quicken sigils. Alright, they'd be running this talent for sure, you know. Maybe give them, maybe tap into the Inquisitor demon form, maybe something like that, and give them some of the magic that those use. I know it may dabble in a little bit of Warlock, but I think that's fine, because maybe I thought of a Warlock spec that dabbles in Demon Hunter. That's not in this video, but I have thought of it. But yeah, I think a Sigillus Demon Hunter would be pretty freaking cool. Alright. I think that'd be pretty freaking cool. Now, we talked about Sigillus Demon Hunter. We talked about Bard Rogue. We're moving down the list. I should have been in there like 2 feet and it would have been instant log out. I don't know why I did that. So, what is this outfit? That's my last outfit. Okay. Death Knight. You may be thinking, oh, he did Necromancer. No, I already did a whole video about Necromancer, okay? That's not this video. And if I'm going to have Necromancer spec, it's going to be different from this. The Death Knight support spec, I'm calling a Rune Binder. And you want to know where I got my idea from? Who's another rune guy who dabbles in runic magic? The Primus. Alright? Blood DKs use blood runes. Frost DKs use frost runes. Unholy DKs use unholy runes. Well, a runic binder DK returns to classic. A runic binder uses blood runes, uses unholy runes, and uses frost runes. And uses them along with bring back Horn of the... They already have Horn of the Winter, but bring back more... Bring back a DK buff. Maybe just give them to Rune Binder, but give them a buff that they bring to their group, along with more buffs from the Rune Binder spec. using blood runes to give your allies lifesteal, using frost runes to slow your enemies and speed up your allies. And slow your enemies. So they got CC. Use unholy runes to curse and weaken your enemies. And wither them away. Because remember, all these specs will have to do damage as well. So you'd have the frost side, you'd have the blood side, you'd have the unholy side. And then, I guess the fourth one would have to go in between one of these. But it would essentially be all of them. Alright? So imagine, maybe it's just on the side here. And the other ones will do their thing where they... You know what? I'd probably put maybe Frost and Unholy together, then Runebinder, and then Blood on the edge. Or maybe Blood over here. I don't know. I don't know where I'd put it. But it would be about using all three to the utmost power. And of course, it'd be bringing anti-magic zone. It would be bringing... Maybe it brings the full grip. Alright? It would have Abomination Limb. Give it Gorfiend's Grasp too. Give it frickin' Remorseless Winter, Gorfiend's Grasp, Pestilent Storm. Alright? Have it be able to summon zombies too. Not go full. Oh my god. Remorseless Winter, Army of the Dead, and Gorfiend's Grasp, dude. And a DK buff. This spec would be OP. But here's the thing. Its damage, it wouldn't be full Unholy. Its army would be good, but it wouldn't be full Unholy. It wouldn't be doing all the damage Unholy does. It would pop its army and then begin using runes to buff your allies. It would help groups pull mobs together and then give your group lifesteal. It would freeze enemies and slow them to help mobs be controlled. Maybe even be able to use a rune to move the winter so it's not just around you. Because I also see this as more of a mid-range spec. Alright? I think it would be cool. I may have been hyping it up, but I think Runebinder, you know, after the Primus himself, you know, maybe it's based in domination magic. You know, you're using domination magic to buff your allies. You know, to infuse them with power. You know, you're not trying to take full control of them, but you're like, hey, I'm in your mind, here's your buff. But yeah, Runebinder, Death Knight, support. Okay. Alright, let's settle down, let's calm down. Because we about to get loud. We about to get freaking loud. It is War Leader Warrior. Alright, this is a warrior spec that will be in the fray. You know, I see them with a shield and a weapon. Alright, because they need to get in there. No. Give them a banner and a weapon. Alright, if we're not adding new weapon type, maybe they get a two-hander and a one-hander. Alright, the two-hander, like the weapon he holds up, yeah, and then the one-hander for fighting off. But you know what? I have them with a flail and a shield, but they are the war leader. One, they will have all the shouts other warriors have, but they will have more. They will yell louder. They will dragon roar. They will shockwave. Alright? You're gonna notice some stuff like, currently they have a lot in common with prot warriors. Alright? They wouldn't have challenging shout. They would have... Oh, maybe they could have a shout that gives aggro to your tank. They give every tank Oh my god, the war leader goes, ah, and then the tank gets all the aggro. The war leader's like, hey, that guy, enemies, you need to attack that guy. And the enemies are like, yeah, we need to get him. You know, they'll have rally. You know, we have... Oh, warrior only has 2. Well, look at this. 1, 2, and then 3 would be the shout tree. You'd have tons of shouts here. You'd have banner stuff, you know. Did you like Conqueror's banner in Shadowlands? Well, more banners. You know, you got your battle shout, so you bring in a party buff. You're going to have all of warrior utility that they can bring currently. And how about... So, they would probably drop a banner that would buff the damage. Warrior support spec would have lust. If shamans have bloodlust, war leaders will have bloodlust. Alright? Frick yeah, dude. Warriors deserve lust. Give them lust. Yes, warrior support will have lust. They will have battle shout. They will have demo shout. They will have rally. They will have leaps and fears and banners for added buff damage. That's how they will be buffing, you know? And they'll have some normal DPS rotation where they're freaking beating up stuff and yelling at it. They'd have a yell that knocks down a mob. Fusro Da. Boom. Oh my god. That was cool. Yeah, dude. I totally see it myself. Yeah. There still needs more to be fleshed out, but yeah, that's what I see. War leaders. You know, shout base. You know, freaking rallying the troops. You know, give them, like I said, the Conqueror's banner. Maybe you have one for each stat. Maybe you pick a specific stat, and then that's the support spec that goes with a certain comp. Maybe it is mastery. Alright, maybe it's crit. Maybe, I think it should be crit. It's the crit buffer. Alright, group ride crit. Frickin' battle shout. Frickin' lust now. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be frickin' cool. Alright. Alright, let's move on to the next spec. So that was War Leader Warriors. The Shout Masters. The Dragonborn. Alright, next up. Paladin. So, one of the cool features I thought of this spec. So, every Paladin can bring one aura. Well, the support Paladin spec that currently has the name Bastion. Maybe it could be something different. It could just be Aura Master, but we have Aura Mastery, so it's like, what? Alright. Maybe it's... I don't know. So, I'm sticking with Bastion right now. Oh, I don't think we'd want to use Bastion, because there's literally Bastion. I don't know. Name pending. Alright. But the idea for the spec is that this spec would be able to bring 2 auras. So it's essentially 2 paladins in one. Alright? You bring this paladin spec, they're bringing a lot, okay? So let's think about it. This is one of the ones I haven't really fleshed out, but let's flesh it out right now. You already got a lot of utility with Paladin. They can do bubbles, they can do soak, they can allow other people to do a soak. You know, they have blessing of protection. Protection Paladins are pretty much a support. So it'd be Holy. So they have red over here. I'd imagine Holy, red. No. Red, Holy, Pride, Auraist. Or what could it be? Oh my god, because it can't be Bastion. Because we literally got a zone called Bastion. I don't know, maybe. Anyways, I got that from Bravely Default because that had a class. And I was like, oh my god, I'll just take that name. And then I came up with the Paladin idea. But yeah, so auras. You use auras to buff your allies. You use your blessings to buff your ally. You're pretty much already a support as Paladin. So you just make a new spec. I'm thinking... Oh, so currently every Paladin spec is considered melee. So I'm thinking we should put them in melee. Alright. But they work a little bit like... They probably use protection weapons. My idea was they use 2 shields. So they're not really offensive, they're purely defensive. Maybe have them use the Paladin steed to hustle over to an ally and protect them from an attack. You know, they use the light to debuff the mob so that they essentially have the thing prop paladins do to where they're healing. You give them that. Dude, it's pretty much prop paladin because it's a support. But imagine prop paladin, but with a shield, just supporting. It's got 2 auras. It's purely trying to use its blessings on you. It has a perma blessing on the whole party, I'd imagine. You know, it also uses shields to damage, so it will be able to do its own damage. You know, and then of course you give it Avenger's Shield, just like a prot paladin, and that is another interrupt. Imagine a prot paladin and a bastion paladin. Mobs can never cast. The prot paladin does their Avenger's Shield. Alright, the mobs are free from that. And then the bastion paladin throws their shield. Alright? You go full shield mode. Support. Like, it would have to not be a tank. It wouldn't be... I think it could be a backup tank, right? This would be the support spec that if your tank dies, 1, this paladin, it can battle res. Alright? 2, it's bringing 2 auras, and it can taunt and hold threat for a little bit while battle resing the tank. I think that'd be sick. Oh my god, that'd be sick. You know? And then I'd imagine it'd have a spec version to where it could help off heal really good. Give it dispels. It already have interrupts, CCs. Give it a dispel like the healer, so that it can dispel magic effects. You know, it'd be this spec to soak. It can help other people soak by giving them spell warding, blessing of protection, blessing of sacrifice. You know, and it would be pure group wide buffs. And then the singular utilities where needed. Yeah, dude, it would pretty much do everything. It'd be like a prot paladin, but extra. Like an extra paladin. Like, it would bring 2 auras. I think that would be sick. But yeah, the name I had written down is Bastion, but it's definitely subject to change. You know, it's definitely subject to change. But yeah, Bastion Paladin. Support, essentially prot plus. It don't tank, but it could in a pinch. And I think that'd be cool. And then, yeah, it's bringing double auras. It would be essentially using the light to give, maybe not, you wouldn't call it lifesteal, but essentially heal on attack. Just lifesteal. How else could it buff? Give it a stat buff on its ability, like Ebon Might, so it'd keep up a buff, and then it gives you verse. So it gives it verse like Ebon Might. No. Ebon Might gives main stat. Maybe all support specs should give main stat. Like, I'm trying not to get in the nitty gritty. I'm just trying to talk the lore and like cool stuff about each spec. But yeah. Now let's move on. Hunter. What does Hunter get? What I invented for Hunter is called animalism. Alright? You have Beastmaster, you have Survival, you have Marksman, and now you have Animalism. Animalist. Animorph. All I know is Hunters have aspects. This whole thing is aspect based. Fox, cheetah, turtle. But imagine perma effects and group right effects. Imagine a group right turtle, but it's a shield across the group. Bear aspect. Make it full, like, oh my god, I just thought of Udyr from League of Legends. Oh my god. Yeah, Phoenix. Give them a battle res. Flames of the Phoenix. Battle res. Boom. Aspect of the Phoenix. Oh my god. Oh my god, I just thought of that. Aspect of the Owls when you have a caster group and you need to help the casters. Oh my god, this is just flowing now. Give them trap utility. This would be a mid-range too. You know, be able to move out, toss some traps, CC traps. You know, you'd put Beastmaster, Survival, put this in between. Give them a little traps, give them a little pet bonus. You know? I was thinking it could also have 2 pets, but it would be melee. Look, this is why I gave it fist weapons. I literally equipped frickin' crappy swords so that I could be a melee. I think this should be a melee spec. You're in there with your pets, and you're scratching, you're using like tear effects, kind of like survival, but you're dual wielding. Let's get a dual wielding hunter that can go out and start throwing their weapons. And then they're essentially doing... Maybe, yeah, so they use the aspects, so they essentially, like, use a turtle, and then the whole group gets, like, a little turtle buff. And then they can have their still personal turtle for when they need to go soak. Call it, like, turtle mode. I don't know. Something. Full turtle. You know, maybe there's the aspect bar, and then you still have invoke turtle. Invoke aspect. At least for this spec. Or something. I don't know, dude. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, essentially it'd be about working with your animals, using the powers of the animals to buff your allies. This one would be a crit one. 100%. Maybe there's a buff that makes it so when an ally hit, they get... Give them the plus the physical damage. Give hunters a class buff. Plus the physical damage. Animalism should give plus the physical damage. They're in there freaking tearing wounds. You know, they tear a wound and then when the ally hits it, it does bonus damage. Boom. Give them some bleeds. Hunters deserve bleeds. Survival shouldn't be the only one with bleeds. Give Hunter melee spec with axes and one-handers. And make it buff their allies. Because they're the wild card. They're the wild card. Full wild mode. And then you'd have another spec that's not using these freaking range talents. Maybe give them less range talents in here and fill it with animalism. Fill it with the animals. More animal power. I think it'd be great. It'd be a good middle ground between survival, Beastmaster, animalism, survival, marksman. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great. And then they'd have utility traps, tar traps, all those. And then they'd be bringing a buff. Maybe give the plus physical to all hunters. I don't know. Because they do need something right now. But yeah, dude. Animalism hunter. I think it's cool. Alright, next up. This one I kind of had like... This one was in my added specs before. Like when I was thinking for a 5th spec for Druid... Because I was adding a spec to every class, I thought a support role would be good. But now I have kind of like 2 different ideas. But I'm going to kind of merge it here. So I'm calling this a naturalist druid But I also kind of thought of a mushroom mancer as well. Okay? But I feel like it could be naturalist and they use mushrooms. Because here's the thing. We did have the mushroom spell for a while. I don't think it really popped off. I think it's gone. It's been gone for a bit. But I imagined a druid that one will buff their allies with the powers of the animals. So I imagine this as the mid-ground between the more beast-powered druids and the celestial-powered druids. So this one would use the power of the beasts to buff your allies. You know, you're still using Stampeding Roar. You know, it's a spec that doesn't have to go crazy. Well, I guess none of them have to go crazy. It would be the middle ground here, so you'd be able to get that Stampeding Roar, but you'd also be able to get Typhoon. You know, you'd be able to get some... You really would be the middle ground, because this druid, I think, should also be able to pseudo-tank and bear better than, say, a Boomkin or something. Alright, this one should just automatically be able to be a better bear if they need to. It would be able to also maybe do the cat ability to where I vanish. You know? Maybe not give it Moonkin form unless they really want to spec into it. Maybe give that an option? I don't know. Well, I guess it is an option for Resto. But yeah, you know, give them Innervate. You know? And then, yeah, I think we can weave the mushrooms into it. Maybe they're using mushrooms to damage and maybe do some poison damage on enemies. And they're using friendly mushrooms to heal, provide healing bonuses for healers. You know, you would already be bringing Innervate. And then also be able to put thorns and stuff on tanks. We haven't really... You have thorns in PvP, but you don't really have the ability to give thorns in PvE. I think we should. Maybe group-wide thorns. You know, if you need to. You already would be able to Typhoon. Maybe Ursol's Vortex too. Give this druid the ability to do all the druid utility easily. You know, and like I said, maybe make its damage mushroom based, thorns based. You know, it's using rather than Resto, which usually tends to go when they're doing damage, they go into a little bit of the Moonfire, the caster. So give this one more of the like roots attack. You've seen Malfurion pull stuff into the roots. Maybe give them that, and then also be able to do like a bear form swipe. You know, I think it could be cool. I think, and I'm calling it naturalist, but I think there could be a good either mushroom mancer version of it, maybe make it more like that, or like a shapeshifter, shape weaver, where you're using bear form to give allies health, cat form to give them speed or main stat or crit. Then you do some plant stuff to give them bonus healing. Maybe give them a heal, you know, let them be a good off healer if they need to be. You know, maybe do a bonus to casters using... Maybe it's a kind of way you spec them and you can be a pro caster or a pro melee. You know, I think that would be cool. And Druid are already bringing a class buff, and then, yeah, give them a ton of utility and have them able to pick up a lot of it. Easy. Alright, but yeah. So that was Naturalist Druid. Or you can imagine the Mushroom Mancer and just make it all mushrooms, full Teemo, bada boom. And then have the mushrooms provide the buffs. But yeah, I think that would be cool. So, now we're moving into Shaman. So, I've imagined a Shaman tank spec. So, I pulled Earth out of this. So, you have enhancement that's more wind, lightning, a little bit of fire. You have elemental that's lightning, more fire, and then you have restoration, which is water, and then I had that tank spec, which is earth. So to me, all those were taken. So what is a shaman element not taken? Spirit and decay, and maybe we can merge those together. But right now, the idea is a spirit master. You know, we could have a totem master. That'd be a thing too. I bet people would get a full totem weaver, and you're doing buffs with totems. That could be a thing too. But let's talk about the spirit master. All shamans use totems. Okay? That's why I didn't want to lean into totems. Resto uses totems. Elemental uses totems. Enhancement uses totems. Spirit master would use totems as well. They would also probably use multiple totems. Okay? But their main aspect, their main drive is using the power of the spirits to buff their allies, bring back a shaman buff. Power of the ancestors. It gives mastery. It gives verse or something. I don't know. Power of the ancestors. Shaman using spirit and spirit magic to buff their allies and damage their enemies. You know, they would also, like I said, they would have to be doing damage. They'd be shooting a little lightning. They'd be shooting a little fire. Maybe a little water too. A little ice in their rotation. You know, they're using all the elements. And then their main thing is using the power of the spirits to buff their allies. And then totems for utility. Alright? You know, you already got Shaman Hex. You already got Shaman Bloodlust. You got Lightning Storm. They'd be picking up all that stuff. You know, they would be able to do... Give Shaman, this spec of Shaman, battle res. If you don't want to give it to healers. Give it to Shaman. You know, they do the resuscitation on you using the Ankh. Ankh totem, you know. Bring that back. You know, they'd be able to drop a healing totem to help the healer. They'd be able to drop a damage buff totem. Like, give them Wind Fury too. You know, give enhancement a full buff, so they're not just the totem, you know, and give them something. And then let this also bring Wind Fury. Maybe you have only one shaman, but you want all the utility. You bring the support shaman, the spirit master. He'll bring you a Wind Fury totem. They'll bring you a landslide or something. Shaman should have a landslide. Yeah, I'm imagining like Earth spell, you know, Earth CC. They'd be able to do it, not just evokers. You know. What else can they do? You know, healing totems. Tank totem. Damage totem. You know, they'd be using the earth totem and the fire totem. They'd be using... What else would they be using? Let's see. Poison cleansing. Give them magic dispel to help healers. Say you have this shaman, you're buffing melee. Maybe you can spec it to be pro-caster, pro-melee, or it would just be a good all-arounder. You know? Allow it to do Spirit Walker's Grace on a party member. I think that could be cool. Kind of like what Evokers do. I think it would have some similarities to Ogvoker. And it'd also be very mobile. You know, and it would be a caster. You know, I don't think it'd be a melee. Most shamans are casters, alright? Enhancement is melee. Maybe this has a pseudo melee version to where you want to buff melee more. You get in there, help CC, help interrupt. Give them the quicker interrupt like enhancement. Or I think all shaman interrupts quick. Yeah, wind shear. So yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have freaking... And see, look, they already got Astral Shift. See? Water, fire, lightning, spirit. Yeah, I think Spirit Master would be super cool. Give Shaman a buff. Because I do think maybe they need it to get into a raid slot. And give this one a battle res. If you're not going to give it to Resto, maybe give them Battle Res too. So they would be bringing Battle Res. And then, yeah, give this one Earth CC. It'll be having Hex. Maybe give it Hex Totem. You know, we don't really have Hex Totem. There was a Hex Totem. There's a ton of totems that were removed that we can bring back for this. And yeah, give it the Ancestral buff. You know, it's giving everybody Mastery. Because it is a Shaman, and it is a Master of the Spirit. You know, we've been to the Shadowlands. We've seen the spirits. I think Spirit Master Shaman would be super cool. Now, this one's going to be real easy. I'm not even going to log in for this. It's a Chronomancer. Time Magic. Mage's got CC. Give this mage the ability to get barriers. Offensive barriers. Defensive barriers. You know, maybe amp magic. But it's just healing. It's time amping healing. So it can amp the healer. It can amp the DPS. Give it something on the tank. Give it... Yeah, it's giving frost barriers to the tank. There you go. You know, fire mages can bust. Time mages can buff someone to go faster. Give them, like, haste. It would be the haste spec. It would be the one that's giving everybody haste. If a group comp needs haste, this is the one for haste. Passive haste. It's a freaking time mage. You know, give it... I was thinking it could have a group-wide. What's the mage time spell where you go back to your health and mana? Imagine that group-wide. A healer needs an extra help in a spot. Tell the mage, right after this big thing, hit your time thing. Or just before hit your time thing, boop, everyone rolls back. Boom. It would be amazing. Yeah, does that need to be balanced? Probably, but I think it'd be cool. Chronomancer Mage would be sick. Alright? It's bringing Time Warp. It's bringing Intellect. You know? You have Ogvaker doing a lot... Ogvoker doing a lot of Bronze Magic, Dragon Magic. It don't have to use Dragon Magic. It can use natural Time Magic. It doesn't have to be sand. Maybe it's a little sandy. The look, but I think it could just be like that golden. And then you do, when you do Time Warp, thing is a time. Have it look like that. And it's just natural mage magic. Doesn't have to be Bronze Dragon based. I think it'd be cool. It's not unique. People thought of Chronomancer Mage. But yeah, I can definitely see it as a support. Barriers on your tank. Barriers on your group. Amp magic to healer. Amp magic to casters. It is the pro haste, pro caster support. And give it the full mass polymorph. Freaking, it's got lust. Give it a battle res. Only this spec, give it a battle res. You died? No, you didn't. Whoop. Turn back the clock. No, you did not. No, you did not. Maybe put a timer on it. Maybe the battle res has to be used immediately, soon after. Otherwise, it don't work. Alright, I don't know. I think it'd be cool. That's my support spec for Mage. Let's move on, because we got a couple more to go. Alright, got 3 more to go. So, we know Ogvoker's the thing, bada boom. That's what my transmog is. Alright, Monk. Alright. So, you have the healer spec and Monk trying to be this middle ground between Chi-Ji and Yulon. We need to split up Chi-Ji. Brewmaster is Nazao. Windwalker is Sven. Zen. Swen. Mistweaver is Yulon. And the spec I'm calling, okay, name pending just like the Paladin one, but this is the idea, okay? Hope Singer. The Hope Singer spec for Monk. Maybe we give them a microphone. Gnomes could have invented it. Gnomes have invented it. We have microphones. I'm just saying. But otherwise it uses a staff. It is the Hope Singer. It provides Mystic Touch and bring back Legacy of the Emperor, whatever it was. Bring back that buff and have this spec be full Crane. It is about inspiring hope in your group. Maybe at Mastery. That feels like a Mastery one. I'm hopeful. I'm Mastery. I'm masterful. We gonna do this. I have hope inside me. You know, it's given the physical damage buff. It's given the other buff. I'm not really thinking battle res, but you could maybe weave it in. You know, it would be able to help the healer. It'd be able to help the tank. You know, give some brew stuff. Maybe this has a little bit of brews, a little bit of tease. Alright? You're giving brews to the tank to help the tank stagger off damage, even if they're not a monk. You know? Give the healer a couple of teas to help their mana. Give the ranged DPS a couple of teas to help their mana and their magic damage. And then you're already helping melee by punching the thing and weakening them. I think it could work really well. It would play off of the Fist Weaver. You know, give it Song of Chi-Ji, the CC. It'd have Leg Sweep. It'd have Paralysis. It'd have an Interrupt. It would for sure be trying to take Generous Pour and Close to the Heart, you know. And it would be Invoke the Crane right here. See, look. Where's the Crane? We need the Crane. Make it support. I think it'd be a really cool support spec for Monk. And let Mistweaver be full. Maybe make Mistweaver a full caster. Maybe make this a full caster. You have 2 melee monk specs and 2 casters. Maybe make the lightning apply the physical damage debuff, you know, or make the 2 melee and go lean into the caster for Mistweaver, or not. I'm just saying, doing the Crane as its own spec, making the Hope Singer spec fully Crane devoted and a buff support spec, I think would be very cool. You know, give it that Song of Chi-Ji, give it the Suns, give it the Ring of Peace. It would be really good in utility. Give it the Legacy of the Emperor buff. Give it Mystic Touch, and then yeah, it would inspire hope in your allies and probably make it the Mastery buff. You keep up that buff group wide. You're the Hope Singer, keeping that morale up. Alright, I think that'd be cool. Now, for Warlock. The name of this spec I'm calling, and I like it actually, is Occultist. Okay? Occultist. So, you have Warlocks that dabble in curses. You know, Affliction, full curses. Alright? Decay, they're cursing, Fell Magic. Alright? You got Destruction, full Fire and Brimstone. You got Demons for Demonology. This one will be on the other side of Affliction. Alright? Because here's the thing with Affliction. It still does a little bit of other things, okay? But this spec would be full curses. But also soul magic to buff your allies. Warlocks already bring a lot of utility. They're summoning. They can bring... This spec would be the spec that brings the imp. 100%. Okay? Have this imp for this spec provide spellcaster buffs. Okay? Give them curses of weakness. All Warlocks have curses. This one would have perma curses that they just automatically hit all enemies with, right? So here's the thing. I have to cast this curse, right? Or I can do the talent that makes something apply the curse. This spec would automatically curse things. Super easy. You know, when it drains health from enemies, you give that health to your allies. When it has the stuns, it has the portals. You know, I'm saying it has the stand buff from Imp and a caster buff. The imp gives intellect. Intellect. Boom. Already named it. You know, this spec will be the middle ground between demonology and affliction, actually. You'd have the, like I said, the imp buffs. Maybe this is the pro imp build, affliction's the pro fell hunter build, demonology is the pro fell guard build. You know, blueberry's there for whoever needs it. And destruction is mostly no pet. Alright? That's his thing. But yeah, I can see occultist being more about curses, and I put and kisses for your allies. So you're cursing your enemies, you're buffing your allies with demonic might. Maybe they don't like it. You don't gotta tell them. You're just reading your book, giving them power. They don't need to worry about where it's coming from. Your imp's helping the mage, like, hey, I'm an imp over here, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna shoot some fire. And it's gonna buff you. I'm gonna give you some intellect, some demonic knowledge. Yet you have a healer buff. You have soul stone. You know, you already have a battle res. And like I said, you'd be bringing imps, so you'd be bringing fort, and all the curses and debuffs. I've already laid it out. Now I'm just repeating. But yeah, that is... Here, let's see his transmog. Occultist, Demon Hunter. Occultist, Warlock. Alright. I think it'd be a cool support spec. You know, relying more on debuffs. And Warlocks already bring more utility, give them a buff. You know what it is. Alright. Oh, you give demon skin to your tank, or like a shadow barrier. You know, give this one, have a lifesteal buff for your allies too. I think that would work. Alright, the final class. Oracle Priest. Okay? You have Holy. You have Shadow. You have Discipline in between. But what's all of them got in common? The mind. The Oracle Priest is all about the mind. It will bring intellect to your party as well. It is another pro-caster healer. It is bringing stamina. It can bring barriers for your tank, but it's not a healer. It can bring some healing. It is definitely a backup healer. You know how I said warrior or paladin would be a backup tank? This would be a backup healer. You need more healing. This would be the support spec that could bump up your healing. Alright? You want to play... I don't think it would replace a healing or healer, but it would be pro healing, let me tell you. You know, it could be helping the tank as well. You got power infusion already in it. Give this healing spec all the dispels that priests already have, and give it an interrupt. Give it an AoE interrupt. AoE silence. Alright? This priest spec would fuck with the mind of the enemies and empower the mind of your allies. It is the Oracle. It sees, it knows. This one would also probably be a haste buff spec. Alright? As you can see. Okay? It would have the singular haste buff. It would have a group-wide haste buff. It would have stamina. Well, the group-wide haste buff would be the mechanic where it buffs it and keeps it running. You know, you're giving people feathers. You're giving people shields. You give people a little vampiric embrace, a little lifesteal. Like I said, it'd be super pro healer. You know, you got Leap of Fate. You got Mass Dispel. Priest already's got a ton of utility. And just make an entire spec about the mind. You know, messing with the mind of the enemy. Empowering the mind of your allies. The Oracle Priest. But yeah, that's it. I know this one's in a full set. I couldn't think of a good mog. But yeah, I'm gonna run it back through all of them real quick. Alright. Bard Rogue. Combo points become musical notes. You buff your allies with the power of music. Alright? Demon Hunter. He's not in the right outfit. But it's runic. He's not in the right. It is Sigilist Demon Hunter. Use the power of demonic sigils to hinder your enemies, burn your enemies. Use the power of the sigils to empower the souls of your allies. Empower your allies with the sigils. You know? And then become a true caster demon hunter. Using the power of sigil magics, the Inquisitors. Give your allies lifesteal using soul magic. Boom. Alright. DK, Runebinder. You thought the Primus was cool? Runebinder DKs do it all. Lifesteal for your allies. Haste for your allies. Plague for your enemies. And then together, you have the power of Remorseless Winter, Gorfiend's Grasp, and Army of the Dead. To make sure that you and your allies are supported against the enemies. Alright. War Leader Warrior. Alright. Shout at your enemies. Shout at your allies. But in a good way. You're shouting at your allies in a good way. Alright? And it's got bloodlust. Alright? Now, Paladin was the Bastion spec, the shield spec, double shield. You can be a backup tank. You use the light. You use double auras. And you empower your allies with all your blessings. Alright. Animalism Hunter. You are an animal. You give your allies the aspects for power while you rip and maim your enemies. Leaving wounds for your allies to take advantage of. Alright? Naturalist Druid. Use the power of thorns on your tank and allies. Use the power of the trees. Use the power of the beast to empower your allies. Use the power of nature to help your healer. Throw little mushrooms in there. Throw a little buffs in there. And support your allies with Survivalist Druid. Now, the true master of totems, but he is a master of spirit first. Use the power of the spirits to buff your allies, and use a plethora of totems for extra utility and support. Chronomancer Mage, using time magic. Using time magic. Using time magic to rewind time and push your group to the limits. Using temporal magic. I repeated for a reason. I was trying to do a time thing. It didn't work as good as I thought. Alright. Hope Singer Monk. Use the power of the crane to its fullest. Inspire hope in your allies. Give them some brews. Give your tanks some brews to help against damage. Give your healers some teas to help against less mana. And use the power of the crane to punch your enemies and provide hope for your allies. Now, Occultist Warlock uses forbidden knowledge to curse their enemies and empower their allies. Maybe using fell magic, but who knows? We're not going to tell the Paladin what we're empowering them with, because we're an Occultist Warlock. We dabble in a lot of things. It's demons. It's demon magic. But it's buffing. And then we got Oracle Priest. Use the power of the mind to hinder your enemies and empower your allies. Maybe send your allies to a therapist and work on their damage potential. Alright? Alright. That's been support specs for all classes. Hope you enjoyed. I know it was a little long, but I had a good time thinking it all up. Hope you had a good time watching. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.